Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the International Criminal Court's Appeals Chamber adjuncts the Philippine government's request to suspend the investigation into the war on drugs. President Bongbong Marcos announces the Philippines will disengage from the ICC after the failed appeal. NUPL NCR Secretary General and ICC Assistant to Counsel Kristina Conti tells us more in the program. And later, authorities seize firearms and ammunition from a sugar mill owned by a member of the Teves family. Former Negros Oriental Governor Pride Henry Teves joins us in the show. The Appeals Chamber of the International Criminal Court has rejected the Philippine government's bid for the suspension of the ICC prosecutors' investigation into the killing into the war on drugs, pending a ruling on its main appeal. After the rejection, President Bongbong Marcos announced that the Philippines will disengage from communication with the ICC. And here's the president in his own words.
We don't have a next move. That is the extent of our involvement with the ICC. In our view, there's nothing more that we can do in the government, and so at this point, we essentially are disengaging from any contact. We cannot cooperate with the ICC, considering the very serious questions about their jurisdiction and about what we consider to be interference and practically attacks on the sovereignty of the Republic.
And let's go straight to the source of the story. First off, we have NUPL NCR Secretary General and ICC Assistant to Counsel Kristina Conti. Attorney, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was unmuted.
I know you were rushing. Okay, I can hear you now, Attorney. First, let's get your reaction on the ICC's rejection on the government's appeal to defer its investigation into the drug war.
Well, certainly it was welcome news for us, considering this has been an issue that has long been drawn out. The arguments of the Philippines has been the same from the very beginning, from the start of its asking for the defera, and then with the asking for the suspensive effect. It is equivalent to an TRO. So what is now what has been rejected is the TRO, or the request for a suspensive effect. While the appeal is being considered, the investigation can continue. And so I would call it all systems go, because the victims have also been allowed to participate in the proceedings. So the ICC Appeals Chamber also decided on the request of some victims to participate in the appeal proceedings, as well as the request of the Office of the Public Counsel for Victims. So this office will represent even unrepresented victims, those that have not yet entered appearance or have not yet been in contact with the court. The OPCD will reserve the rights that should be due to these victims. So I should say right now, the investigation by the ICC prosecutor should go on.
Should go on. That's basically what you're saying. And it's important also to note what you said earlier, so we have a better understanding of this. There is a main case. And basically, what was denied was, we can liken it to a TRO, as you mentioned a while ago. Even our correspondent, Anja Limario, had explained that analogy to us. But how can it be all systems go if the president made a statement yesterday basically saying that the country is disengaging its involvement from the ICC, disengaging from any contact or communication?
That is a bit worrisome, because first, we have already launched an appeal. So it's ongoing, and therefore, the ICC would have to consider the appeal under the pretext that there is an entry of appearance from both the Solicitor General and, I know, a hired London-based lawyer, Sarah Bacadel, which the Solicitor General admitted that they had hired, I think, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, to assist them in the appeals proceedings. So what happens now? On the part of the ICC, there is already an appearance. In fact, this is a question, this is a request by the Philippine government. And essentially, because we're just waiting for their decision, disengaging any further, they cannot, the Philippines will no longer comment if in case there are arguments from the victims and from the OPCV. So that would be, I think, problematic for the Philippines. And eventually, in the long run, it would be problematic for those who might be the subject of the investigation and eventually of trial. If the Philippines refuses to cooperate, they would be no longer allowed to, well, they would no longer be in a position to raise questions of jurisdiction. If they disengage with the court, how about the documents that they have already submitted? I must note that the Philippines had submitted 50 records or 50 sets of documentation on investigations, which was what they cited for this request for the deferral. They wanted the ICC to suspend its investigation because the Philippines was investigating. And so we submitted these 50 documents. And I don't know if they also submitted the 250 documents that we promised.
I'm unaware on the additional documents supposedly submitted as well, attorney, to be quite honest. But you're saying this is going to be problematic for government. Wouldn't it also be problematic on the other side, on your camp, on the victims of the drug war? Because basically the government is saying, we've reached the dead end here, we're not going to file an appeal, we're disengaging, and we're not going to communicate with the ICC anymore.
I don't think that we will be disadvantaged so much because we have been looking at the situation since the very beginning. From the time that the Philippine government said that they were withdrawing, this was March 2018, we were ready in the likelihood, eventuality, that we will be providing the information necessary for the ICC investigation. And so I think for now, we will just have to adjust our bearings. The documents that we have, the victims that we are speaking to, we can go directly to the ICC and submit these records for their consideration.
You mentioned something a while ago which has been in the news in the past couple of days, wherein some of the families of the victims were allowed to comment or give their statements on this. Have these been submitted?
Not yet. The deadline is on May 22, 2023. We are readying the documents that we will be submitting, some observations on proceedings. But the thing is, we have been cooperating with the ICC from the very beginning. And there have been 2 rounds already of submissions of representations. We are confident that we can submit documents, views, and concerns from the same victims that we already tapped for the previous 2 rounds.
And how many supposed victims will be giving their comments or statements?
On the part of RISA, I think we can submit comfortably between 50 to 100 sets of views and concerns. But I'd like to point out that during the first round, the representations that were submitted in June 2021, or rather in August, that was the deadline, it was noted that there were 1,500 victims who came forward and submitted representations to the ICC. An overwhelming 96% said that they wanted this investigation to continue.
Did you say 1,500 initially?
1,500 victims.
Okay. Just moving forward. So the Philippines basically saying, the president saying we're disengaging, there will be no communication. There is a main case still. I'm just wondering, and I know this is better asked not to, maybe even the Sol Gen, if we're disengaging, how does that actually affect the main case?
Technically, I would say it would not affect the main case So right now, the matter in consideration is the appeal of the deferral. The deferral asks that Philippines be allowed to investigate. The main case is, should the ICC investigate presidents of the Philippines, prosecute those that they would think are responsible. This is just, I would say, a procedural matter that the Philippines actually availed of. So they asked for the deferral on the basis of that there is an investigation. If they desist any further, then I would say it would be harder for them to say that in the Philippines, the system is working, and that eventually an ICC investigation is not necessary. So they would be at a disadvantage because they would be no longer communicating with the court to tell them of what's happening in the Philippines.
NUPL NCR Secretary General and ICC Assistant to Counsel Kristina Conti, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Pinky. Good morning.
We will be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned.